Reggae is a very interesting beast, and I love it for that reason. With rock and roll, you're emphasizing the downbeats, but with reggae, you're taking that and completely switching it around and you're emphasizing the upbeats. The song I chose to look at today is Concrete Jungle by Bob Marley and the Wailers. It's probably not on your Legends album. The reason I picked the song is not only because it's a great song in and of itself. What it does for us is it gives us a song that's in a very familiar key, that's in E minor, and it'll allow us to learn that reggae kind of pattern, kind of strumming pattern that is kind of hard to nail down if you don't have the specifics. And it also gives us a few really cool opportunities for learning seventh chords. So we're in standard tuning, so grab your guitar and let's go ahead and get at it. My name is Keith. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so welcome back. We're going to be looking at Concrete Jungle by Bob Marley. So let's just start this off with just the basic patterns that we're going to be concentrating on for reggae in general. So like I explained in the intro, we're emphasizing the upbeats. What exactly does that mean? All the strumming that we're going to be playing today is on the upbeat. So imagine we have a typical 4/4 pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. But if we count the upbeats, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the ands are the upbeats. That's what we're going to be strumming on. So what I'm going to be doing is taking an E minor and A minor, the first two chords in the song, and kind of illustrating that, and then I'll add a drum beat to kind of bring it home. So here we go. Here's our E minor first. How do we get that E minor? We look at the fretboard right here. This is a D in the A shape. Move it up 2 frets, that's an E, and make that familiar minor chord shape. Remember, we have an A minor here. If you slide it up here into that E position and bar it, that's an E minor. And then A minor, kind of the same deal with an E minor here. Move it up here to the A position. That's our A minor. So what we're going to be doing is upstrokes. So we're going to take that E minor and do an upstroke. That means we're just strumming up and not strumming down. So that's a good way to practice. Just do that. Upstrokes. Now if I count it out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're hitting on that and, then back to the A minor. Alright, so now that we have that upstroke pattern down, let's go ahead and throw on a very slow beat and see if we can match what I'm talking about. So I have my looper pedal on a very slow 4/4 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and the ands are the upbeats, right? So it's good to get a good beat and kind of count it out, and then we're gonna hit on the ands on the upbeats. Ready? You see what I did there? In between each one of those kicks, I'm hitting the upstrokes on that. That's how we get that reggae sound. So the first verse of this would be that E minor a couple times. Second, A minor. Then we're going to hang on that E minor for a couple more bars. Then we get to the second section. That will be an E minor, A minor, and a D 2 times. So ready? And then when the song goes to darkness, when he says darkness, he goes to a C. Then a C major 7. Then a C again. Then a C major 7 again. And then he moves up to a G. Where is the love to be found? That's that part. Then a D. Then back to the E minor. And this is the part where the chorus comes in and he does this cool trick, which is the next section of the video. Ready? Now, what exactly is that? What we're playing here is a combination of sevenths, a sixth, and a C chord. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so to learn that, we're going to be taking a look at this E minor chord, and we're going to be breaking that down into the basic triad. The triad on the top 3 strings would be just like this. That's our E minor triad, and he's moving on the 10th fret of the E string to the 9th fret, then to the 8th fret, then back to the 7th for that minor. Now, what are those chords? This is why it's so important to understand the major scale, because if we count out the major scale on that E chord, here's our E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then back to the root. And if we start again from the root, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then to the root. But we're starting right here. That's a flat 7th, because if this is our 7th and we move back 1 fret, that turns into a flat 7th, which makes this chord right here an A minor dominant 7th. And that's notated by just an A minor 7. Okay, so now that we have the A minor 7th, we're moving back to this chord. What is this? This right here is the 6, so let's count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is an A minor 6. And then if we go back to this chord, the next one in that sequence, that is a C. Now why is that a C? Let's take a look here. If we have an A chord here, B chord here, and a C here, and if we expose the triad on the top 3 strings, so just imagine I take these 2 fingers off, and I look at just what I'm fretting down right here, that's our triad for a C major chord. Which it happens to also be in the song. It plays a prominent role in the song, as we just saw there. So he's going from this E minor 7th, 6, then a C. And you could also hold it like that. There's many different ways to hold it, just pick the most comfortable way. I keep on emphasizing the importance of knowing the major scale and how to count it out, and this is a perfect example of why, because if you could figure that out, then you don't need to look at tabs or anything like that. You could just see somebody wrote sevenths or this or that and kind of suss it out for yourself. Plus, it's just cool to know if you don't know it already. Now, I can't guarantee that Bob Marley or any of the Wailers knew exactly what those chords were. They probably did, but it just sounds cool to have that little walk down, right? And to know in the back of your head what those are, it kind of makes you feel pretty good. So I really do hope that helped today, and I hope you could at least get started in learning a little bit of reggae and understanding some 7th chords a little bit better. If you like what you saw today, please hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week. Thanks.